Bom dia, comunidade. Aqui é o Marcos, desde o Brasil. A gente está no São Paulo, a gente estuva no Rio de Janeiro, a gente estuva. Onde é que a gente estuva? Em Belo Horizonte, a gente estuva em. One of the big next names on, man. I can't remember the damn name of the place. Maybe it was Belo Horizonte. I don't really remember. It's cool, man, to give you the Brazilian answers right here. We're playing some FIFA, Fifeamos Friday. Ya sabéis cómo lo hacemos aquí. Aquí le damos el amor a toda la patria, un poquito de portugués, un poquito de español. Maybe later when I talk about the French, I'll even, give you a ça passe, ça va type deal with the 6 words of French that I might remember. I used to be pretty fluent in French on Tuesdays, but can't do that anymore on Fridays right here. But it's a pretty cool intro over here to the World Cup. I figured I'd show you guys. And this is how it should be. Now, I think they released a separate... I don't think they released on Xbox One, the PS4, the World Cup game. I always thought that was ridiculous. I'm like, why are you releasing a World Cup game? Why isn't this the patch? Now, back in the day, they couldn't patch it. But now, come on, dog. And they did. They give you like a little update type thing where you go into the FIFA World Cup mode. And I hope that stays because it's pretty cool. And it gives you, these nice little touches over here. And it also allows you to... It also allows you, to pick players that aren't on this. So we'll see the second half. I'll bring on 2 cats that aren't in Brazil. But, hey, they're Brazilians, so I fit in. I'm playing Brazil-Colombia. If you guys are keeping up with the World Cup, man, that's the game that's being played today. This game is going to be fire. At least I hope it's going to be fire, man. Neymar is a little bit touched up. We'll see how bad he is. But I expect him to fully play and be a force to be reckoned with. I'll give you guys my thoughts of the tournament. So far it's been a spectacular tournament. I think the parity is real. I think the parity is the vibe. Check that out, man. I couldn't believe this, yo. PK in a couple seconds. I thought that was a hard tackle, but I thought it was a good tackle. I thought it was a fair tackle. My boy Dani Alves, who doesn't have the hair dyed here. How about that, dude? My man Dani Alves got their hair dyed like, that ain't even blonde. That thing's like white. Now check this out right here. I think I cut it off so I couldn't even see it, but I thought I got all ball right there. So that's all right, man. We'll spot him a goal, right? It ain't no biggie. I'll still come back. It's early on in the game. I'm playing a strong Colombia side. I ain't got no worries, though. But my boy, Julio Cesar, that's deep right there. That's powerful. The Xbox going to save that. They're like, I cannot believe it. Can you believe it? And then we're coming over here in the fast break. Check it out right there. Coming in here, my boy Fernandinho. Oh. And then that should have been a PK right there, I thought. Because, he went out there and just viciously murdered my guy. Luiz Gustavo, desleixo. Não posso. A gente não posso. O David Luiz, which is one of the best players that's playing right now, actually, in the World Cup. Man, if you go and look at that, he's been good, right? David Luiz, Cruz has been doing real well. The Real Madrid player now, it's not official. And no Hulk, there's something that won't happen in real life. Hulk scored, man. This dude's a clown, man. He's a musclehead. He ain't really about that life. He ain't about that life. About that life. And this to me is my most intriguing game over here, the quarterfinals. So break it down the group phase. Listen, let's get it out of the way. Spain thing. It was disappointing, but it wasn't something that I was shocked about. I didn't take off any days of work to see it. I didn't think Spain was going to win. I think there was just too many factors at hand that they couldn't control. I compared kind of Spain's run in the World Cup similar to the Miami Heat. Even though obviously the Heat still got to the finals and still persevered, there just wasn't that hunger anymore. They didn't really want to do it. They didn't want to lose. It's not like they wanted to lose, but they just didn't have it. And they caught some bad breaks in all fairness. You look at that game against the Netherlands, that thing could have been 2-0. And that PK shouldn't have been a PK to begin with. So they shouldn't have even been up 1-0. And maybe if they're not up 1-0, they played differently. But there just wasn't. You look, and it was very simple to see. When you look at Barca play, Spain's main advantage that it had year in and year out was that it took 7 or 8 guys from a Barca machine that just played in, and they had a chemistry that was no other. And then they threw in 300 guys, and they were just told, don't mess this up and just be good. And that's what they did. This year, you go and look at this, and they still have a substantial amount of Barca players there, but they tried playing Xavi. He couldn't do it. Then he ended up on the bench. Iniesta he was good, but he wasn't at that level. Fabregas didn't even get on the field. They put Diego Costa in, which made no sense because he just doesn't fit into the tiki-taka that Spain likes to run. Just a big dude, kind of like Hulk. It didn't work out, and it's okay. And honestly, I wasn't even sad. I wasn't even too mad about it. I'm still happy about Real Madrid winning it all, so I don't really. My soccer fix is done for a while. But I wasn't happy about it. But it was okay, and it was a very tough group. We played 2 teams that, one of them still alive in the tournament, and Chile was a penalty kick away from eliminating Brazil in Brazil. So that tells you as much as you need to know about those guys. Other notable teams that didn't make, Italy not making it was honestly a bit of a surprise to me. I expected England to stink it up. That's kind of what they do. Let me name you how the English team plays. This is pretty common English standard playing right here. They just shoot from outside the box and look really pissed every time they miss because it's a difficult shot. They're trying to shoot through like 16 people and you end up just shooting high anyway. And then they just take crosses in that 9 out of 10 times don't really reach any of their players. That's English soccer right there in a nutshell. I don't care how much talent they got, I don't know how much people they got. It's the same thing. I don't care. I've seen different coaches. I've seen different people. It doesn't matter. Let me also go on a little tangent on Wayne Rooney. I don't quite get how Wayne Rooney is in any sort of way regarded as a superstar. I don't know what he's good at. I put him in the same boat as I put Nani. People, it's just interesting that they're both on the same team. But people who, when I look at and I'm like, man, these guys. But Nani's worse, in all fairness. But when I look at like those guys, I'm like, how are you guys still playing? Like, how are you guys automatic starters that no one ever thinks about like replacing you? Like, what'd you guys do? Like, who did you voodoo to get into this position where like you're regarded as a unanimous starter? Like Nani shouldn't be. I guess Portugal didn't have anything better would be like the thing to talk about there. But like Nani shouldn't really be starting for Portugal. And I was kind of shocked that Portugal didn't get through. And in all fairness, that 4-1 game at the beginning really didn't help them out. But that was the toughest group right there. Kudos to the U.S. for getting out, man. I mean, they 100% deserve that credit for getting out there. But I was very happy that they lost to Belgium. And I know I'm in the U.S. and I know it's the 4th of July and whatever. I ain't gonna go hating on the U.S. too much. I think they did a very good tournament. I think they had a very good presence. But I had no interest in them getting past Belgium. Because if they get past Belgium, let me paint you a scenario. Argentina is going to get to the semifinals without playing a team, dog. Like, they literally would get to the semifinals without playing a team. So let's say the U.S. beat Belgium. Argentina would have played. Check this out. Nigeria. Iran. Who's the other goon that they had in their group that like barely was like a country? Bosnia and Herzegovina. It barely is a country. Those guys are like fighting each other every other day. So he would have played those goons. And then they played, coming out of the first thing, they played, who's this whack-ass team that took them all the way into, like, my man Di Maria, who's, like, the best player in Argentina. Don't let yourself fool yourself. Angel Di Maria is the best player playing for Argentina. Messi has the best talent. There's no doubt about that. But Angel Di Maria is playing at the highest level right now. And the fact that this guy might not be on Real Madrid next year is a blasphemy. Now, Real Madrid signed Cruz. Cruz is great. I like him. I like what he does in the midfield. Fair enough. He's a young guy, whatever. But Angel Di Maria wins you titles. You need a person like Angel Di Maria there. My only risk with Di Maria is obviously health, and that's a very strong concern. That's why I have no issues with Real Madrid signing 16 other people because, hey, he might be hurt. He's always hurt. Last year was an aberration, the fact that he stayed healthy. But nonetheless, he's always there when you need it. This guy, at minute 112 in the Champions League final, this guy was still running his heart out. Same thing he did with Argentina, man. You go and watch that film. Angel Di Maria was the only guy who was giving it 100%. And Messi gave him one nice pass because that's what Messi could do. Messi does that the same thing with Ronaldo. They need one thing. I mean, you look at that Ronaldo cross into so that then guy headers it to tie the U.S. game over there in the 97th minute. That's something that only 3 people could do in the world because he wasn't really having that great of a game. He didn't have that great of a tournament because he's been injured and he's just been off. And he managed to pull something out of nothing and still managed to tie that game. That's what great people do. But Angel Di Maria, and it would be blasphemous for me for Real Madrid to sell him for any amount of money. I could care less. They're talking about like $50 million. I don't care. He's priceless to me. You can't sell that guy. He doesn't fit the system perfectly, but the breakdown ability that he has. I mean, look at that goal against Atletic Madrid to win that Champions League, man. He broke through 3 people. There's only a handful of people in the world that could do that. You can't pass that up for some German guy who just passed the ball in the middle of the field. Dang, please. Angel Di Maria is just, there's a reason why we kept him and not Othil. Othil can't make it to the end of the games. Di Maria is like, $1.18, let me turn it up, son. Like, it's the complete polar opposite, man. But yeah, I forget who Argentina played in the first knockout. It'll come to me eventually. But it was some whack-ass team, too. Took them like all the way, and I was like, what? Maybe Greece, maybe? Greece played Costa Rica. I don't know. It was some whack team. But they would have gone all the way to the semifinals without playing a real team. Let me tell you who my surprise of the tournament is. And I know Costa Rica is probably the most people's surprise, and fair enough. I mean, they've had a great tournament. I didn't expect that either. But I still don't really got much respect for that team. There's a couple surprises. Colombia to me has been a big surprise. I know Jackson was good. I knew James Martin was all right. I know he was this good. I also don't think he's this good. Let me preface that. I think people make a name for themselves in World Cups, and rightfully so, because they deserve. So it's one of the biggest stages in the world. But nonetheless, it's a tournament where you got to realize that these cats have been in here for like 3 or 4 weeks, like just training, and that's like about it. It ain't really like they've been putting a whole year of like legwork into this thing. So it's easy to like look good in those 3 or 4 weeks when you're facing maybe not even the best competition or whatnot. So I expect him to maybe be a little bit, and it's unfair to criticize him how he'll play against Brazil. But I expect him to be a little bit not too as good because obviously the circumstances, the fact that they're playing in Brazil is a little bit difficult. And also just the pressure. Here we go. Here's the fast break. I'm trying to get it over here to my boy Kaká because I threw in Ronaldinho and Kaká here at the half because, hell, man, we might as well throw in that old crew right there. The old geezers that there's no way that these guys actually. Kaká just signed with the Orlando City soccer team. I don't know if y'all familiar with that because I didn't even know that thing existed. But it's got a nice purple jersey, man. I really like the purple jersey that the team has over there. But this is Brazil soccer. This is something they can do, and this is something that Scolari doesn't let them do enough. Just go. They have a superior athletic team. That's like one of their big advantages. I think Brazil's been playing a little bit scared this World Cup. I don't think that Brazilian team is as great. It's definitely not as good as the Brazilian teams are old, man. There's no Rivaldos here. There's no Ronaldo Gordo here. This isn't that team. Now, Neymar is having a great tournament, no doubt about that. And they do have very good athletes, and I do think that they have the talent to take them all the way if they really want to. But I don't want. You know what? I guess I'll say it. I picked like a tournament type thing, and I picked Colombia to beat Brazil. Now they don't beat me in this game because I'm playing as Brazil, but I do. I think Colombia could beat Brazil, man. I think that they're playing that cohesive and that tight of a unit, and they got that much balls to beat Brazil. And I picked them to win that. Now I think Colombia's been a big surprise, and it's a damn shame Falcao isn't playing, man, because there's a guy who really deserves this type of thing, and it's unfortunate sometimes how injuries take away people like that. But he's resting up. He's gonna be strong for the next year. And also talk about that in a separate thing, just because we're talking about Monaco here for a second, because Falcao's playing there. Monaco didn't sign Victor Valdez. They said that they're not going to sign the Barca goalkeeper because of injuries. Yeah, I get it. But like, dude, if you're throwing money out, why don't you throw it out to one of the better keepers out there, man? Whatever, he's injured, he'll come back. It's better than whatever you got right now. But my biggest surprise for the tournament is France. Without a doubt, it's France. I looked at that French team, and I didn't realize how much talent that thing had. It doesn't even have to be a replay, which is crazy. I look at that French team, and just when the tournament started, I looked at that group, and I was like, damn, man. I was like, France got these group. I was like, and France is, like, these guys are stacked. Like this is a really good team. Like, dang. They're young. That's my one thing about it. They're young, and that's why I have it. I picked them to beat for Germany as well, just because I'm not too impressed by the Germans. I think Germany's doing a little bit too much Pep Guardiola thing, a little bit too much tiki-taka, and not enough explosion. I think there was a time for tiki-taka, and I think it revolutionized the game. And I think doing it with the right characteristics of players is fine. Like, Barca had to do tiki-taka because that's what they had. That's all that they had. And it worked for those guys over there. You look at a guy, for example, like, I tried to lead him over here in this pass, and he wouldn't go. You look at a guy like Xabi Hernandez. He's perfect for that. Because this guy's a general over there in the midfield. He's a small guy. He's not really that athletic superior. He doesn't have that superior athleticism. But he's able to manage the field and do things in that system that he wouldn't be able to do. Maybe not even be on a soccer field to begin with in another system. Whereas, when you're forcing, like the German team, like those guys got some good athletes over there. Like, Cruz doesn't really have to be tiki-taka over here. This guy can go with Mueller and those guys up top over there. You get there 1, 2, 3, and you're there on a counterattack. And I don't feel they do that enough. And, you got a guy in Othil who could also do that, distribute the ball over there and finish as well. So, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of forcing people to play a certain way. And I think it's one of the big issues that Bayern's going to have and that had this year is just the fact that, it really felt like Guardiola was pressuring them into playing a certain way that maybe they're not 100% comfortable playing, and that maybe isn't a style that fits the kind of athletes that you're having. I think Beckenbauer, I don't know if it was Beckenbauer who came out and said it. It might have been Beckenbauer, I don't remember. But, he criticized Guardiola on that, and there is a certain key to adapting, and that's one of the things that I think Ancelotti doesn't get too much credit around Madrid was the level of adapting he did, Not only with the personnel that you have, but taking in mind the personnel and taking in mind how the opponent's going to play the game, and then taking in mind how the opponent actually does play the game, because there's a perception of how the opponent's going to play the game, and then there's actually the reality of how it's going to play the game. I mean, you look at game tapes from like how Real Madrid played against Levante, how Real Madrid played against Bayern, how they played against Real Madrid, how they played against Barca. There were so many differences, and I'm not going to regard the fact that they scored on me. That was a pretty good goal, though. I'll give them credit for that. Managed to ricochet in there. Good for them. And I don't think he gets enough credit about that. Adapting, there's a talent behind that. You got to think about the personnel at hand. You got to think about the situation at hand. You got to think about what the situation is going to be 30 minutes about. You got to think about the situation if they score a goal, if we score a goal. How's everybody going to react? How's they going to take it to place? What kind of people you got? How injured your people are? There's a lot of factors over there that I think Ancelotti did a good job about, and I think don't really get as recognized as probably as it should be. Either way, I'm digressing for the point with the French team. You look at that French team, man, and Benzema is really taking on a role right here, and I still expect Real Madrid to get a striker, and I really don't want him to get like an A-list kind of guy. I want him to get a dude, a Hesse kind of guy who will come in there and give you a spark, and that's it. Because Benzema has earned this starting position. I don't think it's any point in giving him any competition over here. And proving what he's doing over here in the World Cup. I mean, he's really leading that French team. If you remember that French team 4 years ago, that thing was in disarray. I mean, they were fighting. People were leaving the camp. Now, I don't really like bringing that up, like stuff like that. You read stats where it's like, Colombia beat Brazil once in 1966. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, throw that out the window. There's nobody even alive from back then. And whoever is alive definitely isn't playing soccer. So that doesn't really matter. So I don't really care what happened 4 years ago with that French team. They only got 3 or 4 cats from on that team. Whatever. But, I mean, they're bringing like a guy like Griezmann off the bench. Griezmann was a stud this year at Real Sociedad. I mean, this guy's going to be real good. He's going to be playing for a big top-tier team here soon. And he's coming off the bench for France. I think the French's worst enemy is probably their coach, too. Deschamps isn't really – he's not really the smartest of folks. But I do have him beating Germany in an upset. And, I mean, when you get to this round, anything can happen. Anything can happen. A red card here, a PK there, and anything can happen. Anything can break down. But they're definitely something to keep an eye on. I definitely expect that team in the Euro to be competing for it all because they were just that good. And Neymar Júnior com o golaço aí, a gente faz o gol, a gente tem que bailar, a gente faz o truco. And then he smacks him over there. I don't really know about that. Oscar's a really good player, too. He doesn't get enough credit over there. And a lot of the Brazil teams got a lot of talent, man. They got a lot of young talent. These guys can really develop. I don't think they're playing the best way that they can, but that's how Scolari does things. That's how they're going to do things. And I don't know who else I didn't even touch on. Oh, Belgium. Belgium, let me tell you about Belgium, man. People hiking on Belgium because they ain't playing. They're not playing as good as they should. These guys have conceded like 2 goals the whole tournament. One of them was a penalty that, it was a penalty. Hey, everyone makes mistakes. They got the best goalie in the game, bar none, Courtois. Like, this guy is a top-notch goalie. I expect them to beat Argentina. I'm going to keep it 100 with these guys. I expect this. I'm picking a lot of quote-unquote what upsets are, but to me, they're not upsets. I mean, you look at that Belgium team, and it's got enough firepower up front to be able to counterattack against an Argentina team that has no defense. I can't even tell you who the Argentina goalie is, man. And I've seen him play 4 times. I still don't really know. Caballero, maybe? I don't really know who the guy is. I don't know what team he plays on. That defense, somehow Mascherano's still like back there playing defense. Please, for the love of God, somebody, just give Mascherano the chance to play in his position once again in his lifetime, man. I don't want him to go to River when he's like 38 and finally play as like a little up ahead in the midfield, like a midfield defending guy. Like, this guy is a defender. And Barca, please, get a central defender, man. Hope you guys have a great weekend, man. Hope you guys enjoy the 4th of July. It's your boy Marcos over here. We outie. World Cup's crazy.